I had a seventh one, but he wasn't 100% sure, so, but we have a quorum out of our members, and,
As the new person in the group, I don't know.
well, I'll have.
Oh, you're gonna do
I was
that.
gonna say, we'll have everybody introduce themselves here. Hopefully everybody realizes who I am, but, Chuck Linville, I'm the Environmental Health and Zoning Administrator for the county, so we'll just go.
I'm Sharon Fisher. I live outside of Dana, a couple miles.
I'm Chris Henning, I farm, south of Jefferson, just near Cooper. Nancy Linneman, 2.5 miles out of Ruby.
Mike Brevard, northeast of Jefferson, about 8 miles.
Glenn Christensen, west of Scranton.
Nick Stewart, west of Scranton, over by Dunbar.
Like we said in the past, the last meeting, Sharon was the chair, so it's up to her. I mean, if she would like to relinquish and somebody else wants to be the chair, they can. I mean, I'm gonna leave that up to
So
you.
long ago, I don't even remember what we did.
The last one was when we did the Cooper site,
Wasn't that like about 3-4 years ago?
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Must be at least
Yep,
that.
yep. So, I just wanted, yeah, so. That's up to, you guys can make that decision, or Sharon would rather not,
I move that we, accept Sharon as our leader for the moment.
Okay, fine. I can do that, so. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We did kind of our little roll call here. Approval of agenda.
And we just have the one item on the agenda, so.
And the new business is to consider the zoning change request of new cooperative to reclassify property from agricultural to commercial. It's located at parcel B, lot 3 of the north half, section 27 of Highland Township.
So, if
So,
anybody wants-
And do we know
Discussion?
how many acres that is?
That's on,
Oh,
that's on here.
okay.
First, I guess, somebody can make a motion to approve the agenda item.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
You can call the vote ahead.
All in favor say, or do we want to raise our hand or say aye?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Okay, so, as Sharon read off that, some of you brought it with you, I also made a few copies. Frank Houseman from New Coop is here to kind of answer any questions. What this,
Can we have him tell us?
yeah, I'm just gonna first, again, since it's probably been a while, or some that haven't been at other meetings in the past, what the planning and zoning board, your purpose or mission today is to look at, consider the zoning request change, for new co-op. And then that recommendation goes to the board of supervisors and they have the final approval on that. So whichever way you vote goes to them, and then they make their decision. So theirs is the ultimate decision, yours is the recommendation to the board of supervisors. So yours is not the final.
They do the final.
They do the final decision on it, so I just wanna make sure it's different than the board of adjustment. Board of adjustment is a different process. So this one, you're just making the recommendation to the board of supervisors for their meeting. We would do it next Monday, so Frank is here from New Coop. He can kind of explain. I also, in this, what I sent to you is some of the things that Frank has sent, kind of site layout plan and a little bit of that. So if he refers to that, you've got a copy to look at.
Good morning. My name is Frank Huseman. I work with projects and project development for New Cooperative. We're based out of Fort Dodge. We have just recently expanded. We are now in 33 Iowa counties. We have 66 locations. Our most farthest northeast facility is in Garner. And our farthest southwest facility is now down in Hamburg. So we started out back in 1973, 2 local cooperatives merged together in Northeast Webster County. That's where the new comes from. It's not a new company. We're Northeast Webster is where we originated and had a lot of organic growth, internal growth, mergers throughout the years. And as we've grown from our inner circle out, as we expand, there's more opportunities at the outer bands of those circles. And we had facilities in Otho, Lanyon, in Otho, Rams, and Laurelville, and our business just continued to grow. It continues to grow down into Greene County, continues to grow to the south and west. That led us to construct a facility down in Lanyon, because we were transporting anhydrous, dry fertilizer from Rolyn, from Otho down into the Lanyon area. Well, as we continue to grow, there's been a big expansion just north of Jefferson, up into the Churdan and the Peyton area. And we're hauling materials from Laurelville, from Rams, farther south. That led us to the opportunity down in Cooper. In 2016, we purchased an acreage there with a building that was on it at the time. Since that time, when we bought that facility from an individual, there was nothing there. There was no agronomy services, there was nothing, but we were delivering to that area, again, from the Laurelville, from the Rams, from the Lanyon area. So we thought it would make sense to kind of increase that, expand that facility. That facility has gone from selling 0 anhydrous tons to 4,500 tons in about 5 years. If you drive by that facility now, you'll see we've got a 10,000 ton dry fertilizer plant, plus we've got a 500,000 ton feed manufacturing feed mill there, along with 2.2 million bushels of grain storage. So that we've been well supported from the farmers and members down in Greene County. Now there is a kind of a void from the Rams Laurelville area down to Cooper. We have an opportunity in the Churdan area, just about 1.5 miles east of Churdan. We've purchased some ground. Last year we actually purchased the ground, and again, it was a function of business in the area. We had a need. We were hauling anhydrous tanks from Rams and Laurelville, or from Cooper now up into this area. So last year we did purchase ground. We put in an anhydrous plant there. At that time, we were just using a small parcel. We approached the supervisors, approached Chuck about, do we need to rezone things at that time? The recommendation at that time was, if we were going to expand, let's wait a year, let's see how this develops. If we're going to do anything with grain or anything additional, that would be the time to look at rezoning it. So we've got the appropriate zoning. So that's what we are asking for today. What we are looking at doing at that site is constructing 2, I call them fabric buildings. You mentioned you live down by Cooper. I don't know if you've seen that fertilizer building down there that we constructed. We're looking at putting 2 similar buildings of that nature up. They're a concrete floor, in-floor aeration, in-floor reclaim. One for soybeans, one for corn. One building is 200 feet wide by about 450 feet long. And some of this might be in your packet, I can't remember. If they're not there, ask me the questions. The other, I believe, is 200 by 250 or 240. Both set up the same way. We have 2 receiving scale pit combinations, so the farmer pulls on, we weigh him, we dump him, weigh him, and send him back out. One of the buildings, the big building, would hold about 2.75 million bushels of corn. The small building, about 1.25 million bushels of soybeans. Why aren't we doing steel? Why aren't we doing concrete? At this time, it's economics. A fabric building now is about the same cost per bushel of what steel was 3 years ago. Steel is now the cost of what concrete is. So instead of putting a steel bin up for $3.75 a bushel, if you put steel up, you're pushing $6 to $7. If you put concrete up, you're upwards of $10 per bushel. So this is, in our mind, it's an economic way to solve a problem, to expand business, to increase business, and continue to serve our members and grow our business at the same time. So it's zoned agriculture right now, I believe. We didn't purchase the entire 40 acres, I believe we own 37 acres, somewhere in there. So, it's a facility that we think is,
So you're expanding from just anhydrous into
into Greene,
into grain?
into Greene.
And are you doing the feed mill from that, or?
No, at this time, there's not a plan for a feed mill. Feed mill, it seems like you manufacture feed, you haul that 60 to 70 miles. Right now, it's just a grain project. Who knows in 10 years,
So it's dry, what are you doing with the grain? Are you buying it from farmers and then,
yes, we'll buy grain from the farmers. They'll deliver it to this facility.
deliver to this facility?
And then from there, I would guess it ends up, we transport it down to Cooper to feed the feed mill. Or we transport it to an ethanol plant, we'll resell it.
So it's a closer location for the farmers in your area?
Yes, right now, over the last 5 years, we have constructed about 1.1 or 1.2 million bushels of storage at Lorville. And a lot of the grain from this area, from the Churdan area, north of Jefferson, is going up to Lorville. We're out of room at Lorville. Physically, we can't construct any more bins at Lorville. That facility is getting overtaxed because of the volume. So by bringing something back into the Churdan area, it alleviates a lot of that traffic. Maybe 700,000 to 800,000 bushels of grain going into Lorville, we know should come to this facility. That's currently going up to Lorville, it's going up to Lanyon. Some of it's maybe trickling up into the Litterdale and Waynesboro area. But we believe that the volume is there, and what we're seeing from our studies is, yes, it will provide a closer delivery point for the farmer.
And so how many trucks a day during harvest are you expecting?
I hope there's 300,000 bushels a day, roughly, something like that. And quite honestly, after harvest, I don't know how that goes. We're hoping and planning on automating it, having a lot of automation in it, so you could sit in this room on your phone and have connection to that facility and start the legs, start the scale, start the legs, start all the conveyors. Through the intercom, you can talk to the guy on the scale and say, go ahead and dump it. He can dump it, we weigh him, give him a ticket, and he's on his way. So off season in the December, January, February, if there's not a lot of activity, we can operate it remotely. I don't know if we will do that. I hope we're busy enough that there's constant grain coming in, because we'll have to haul out as well. Plan is you bring it in the fall, and then you start hauling out right away again to, as the feed mill down in Cooper needs it, or the ethanol plant needs it, or we have rail loader and roll in that needs it. So we've got plenty of places to market it after that.
So my math in fast doesn't work very well. So 300 trucks a day for all of harvest, then?
Well, we hope we take about 3 million bushels of, 2.5 to 3 million bushels of corn. And harvest will be, bean harvest, and as long as I've been in it, seems to be about a 13-day process. From the day you get your first bushel of beans when you're done, it's about 13 days. Bean harvest will take 100,000 to 150,000 a day for 10 days. Corn harvest, we hope to take between 200 and 300,000 a day. That's probably about a 3-week process in there. And right now, we're in the middle of, we have to do a traffic impact study with the DOT to determine where we can put driveways in. So, the initial thought is, boy, that's a lot of grain that's going down Highway 4. My response to the DOT was, it's already going down Highway 4. It's going to Peyton, it's going to Churdan, it's going to Rands, it's going to Lorville. We're just trying to keep it closer to where it's originating. So we're in the process of doing that, all the things like that to determine how the final driveway access points are. And since it's a state highway, they'll let us know what we can have for access points. We'd like to have one entrance. You pull in, pull over the pitch, you dump, you make a turn, and you head back out to Highway 4. I don't know if they'll allow that or not. That's
Similar to what you have at Cooper.
similar to Cooper, yes, similar to Cooper. Similar to Lanyon, if you get up by Lanyon, you pull in, I think it might, I don't know if there's a drawing, I don't know, site plan or not, but yeah.
They got something similar there, yeah.
Where if this is Highway 4 on the north, you pull in one direction, you come in here and dump, and then you go out the other direction. This is the current anhydrous plant, which is on the K Avenue, the gravel road. So we've got it plotted in there for these two buildings, while at the same time we have room for expansion to the north, whether we would end up putting another building or two, or steel bins. We've got room to expand out there as well. It's just another view of it, I guess, using the topographic map where Highway 4 is here and all the high points, low points of the site. Glad to answer any questions that anyone has. Any additional questions?
And then there is not currently water on, I saw this public notice about,
We had to drill a well, that's correct. Yes, we had, there's not raw water on the site. We do have a well that we dug because we needed water for the anhydrous site and we got a little office there for the anhydrous. But the only water there now is a well that we did dig.
and your office building is the small building, or?
The office will be in the same area that the grain dump is. We've drawn in potentially an area for another office out here, but the office for the facility will actually be right in here in the grain dumps. So you've got the grain dumps out there and the office will be attached to that. We do have a small office over here by the anhydrous plant, just for the agronomy operations. The grain will have a separate little office attached to the dump there as well.
Thanks, that's much more helpful than just looking at the map and trying to figure it out.
Yes, it's.
And then the math, I knew you would have that in your head.
Well, you know, third grade was the best 5 years of my life, so I learned a lot of math. We've got a couple just real quick renderings of how it may look out there. These are the two buildings. This is the smaller one, 200 by 252, and this is 400 feet long. These are the receiving legs, the receiving pits. We'll be able to hit both buildings with both legs. So we've got two 20,000 bushel an hour receiving legs. So if I wanted to, if I had a really, really big corn day, I could dump at 40,000 bushels an hour going into either building. We can reclaim at 10,000 bushels an hour once we start loading out. So our goal is to get farmers in and out as quickly as possible with the least hassle and keep things moving.
And most of your traffic, even down to Cooper, is semi, isn't it, instead of wagon?
The majority, I would say 90% is semi.
Yeah.
And if it's not a semi, then it's two 600 bushel Brent wagons. So it's either a tractor with two big wagons or semis make up 90-95%.
And do you do any cleaning, bagging, or anything, or it's all bulk?
This is all bulk receiving up at this, would be at the Churdan site. Just bring in, dump it, and move
And
on.
then when you send it out, it is suck it back in, or order it back in and
Right, yep.
send it out?
Goes out in a semi-trailer, that's correct. You know, we don't, at this point, there's no processing involved at that site. Raw grain in, raw grain.
And at Cooper also?
Well, Cooper, they manufacture feed out of
Oh,
there,
so
so the
they're-
corn goes in
So
there.
they're
and
cleaning it
ground.
somewhat or whatever.
Yeah, there'll be screeners in here to clean out the fines, and then, again, if it goes to Cooper, it's screened there, then it's run through a hammer mill into processed feed, either pellets or mash feed that goes out of the Cooper mill. You know, the feed mills of today, there's no bagging that goes on. You just
Is
very
it supposed
little.
both too?
Yes. everything is, yeah.
Has there been any input or concerns from neighboring owners?
I have talked to this neighboring owner and talked to, one a mile down. I was out there doing some measuring. Glad to see you in the neighborhood. This is gonna be great. I have not had anybody.
And I haven't heard any, I haven't had anything. Mark Peters, who's on the planning and zoning, wasn't able to be here, but he had talked to Troy Pop, and, you know, Troy didn't have any issues with it. He would be the neighbor.
Yes, to the east.
To the east would be the next house to the east. Again, same kind of thing, kinda happy to see it kind of thing is what he's hoping.
And then the next house to the west would be Minahan?
Yep, and I have not heard anything from them, so we sent them a letter, we sent letters went out to all property owners, cause John, you would've gotten one, within, our ordinance says within 500 feet, so,
That's not very far.
well, from the corners of the property,
Oh,
so.
from the corner.
So it isn't just where this sits, it's from the corner, so that's why you would have, so any abutting properties basically, and then anything that would have been within 500, so.
I think that the one drawing maybe has a Google Earth measurement on it to the neighboring house, you know, what the actual distances are from the facility. And we had that in here. You know, from where the anhydrous is sitting to the house to the west, it's 5,500 feet. So it's about a mile over to the west. And then to the northwest, it's 2,000 feet. To the hog buildings to the north is 1,000. To the hog buildings to the south is 1,000 feet as well. So when we did the anhydrous plant, we're regulated by state guidelines there as to where we can put it. We have to have certain clearances between facilities or between locations. And where these buildings will sit, they're more toward the south side of the property. Again, if you think of this is the 40 to 37 acres. This is Highway 4, and this is the gravel road, K Avenue. Our anhydrous plant is sitting about right in here, the existing anhydrous plant. And our buildings are going to be down on the south edge of the property. So if you drive by there today, they're way on the south end, and there's some topography on the north that they're not gonna be way out there right against Highway 4. They're gonna be 500 feet or 1,000 feet to the south of Highway 4 actually. So kind of tucked on the south, back on the south corner. We want to automate it as much as we can. I don't know. I know we have difficulty finding new employees. They're not falling out of trees. So anything we can do with the reclaim, in-floor reclaim, we'll be able to put one individual in an end loader. We can push to the center sumps. We can have a person in the office. And we have a facility similar to this over in Anthon. It's our largest grain receiving facility, second largest in the company, and they operate that with two individuals. It's so efficient, and people love hauling in there as well. So we've been very fortunate with growth in the area. We've had a fantastic relationship with the growth and the things that we've done in Greene County, and very well welcomed, and we just want to continue to grow. And hopefully we'll consider this.
Who's the electric and the internet up there?
I can't tell you who the internet is, but Alliant
WebCal,
Well, that would be the,
you already have service there, they ordered or.
Oh, that's right, they did do that.
WCCTA, is that it?
And they'd already put service there.
We did that for the anhydrous facility. And that anhydrous facility, we did 0 tons last fall. And I believe, looking at the numbers here the other day, we run 2,400 ton through there. So there's about 350 tanks that were coming from Lorville down into that area. There's now traveling a couple miles instead of 21 miles or 22 miles.
It's a great safety happening too. I mean, having it that close.
Less people,
Less people,
people
less
on the road
on
going that far. So we've been very fortunate for our growth, that's for sure. Also,
Is that air on it? You want aeration?
yes, yep, there'll be in-floor aeration. I believe, the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 25 fans on, or I think there's a total of 60 fans between the 2 buildings. And those we're contemplating setting those up with a climate control facility too, so they'll turn on automatically when the temperature's right, the humidity's right. May drive by there when it's raining and they're running, but if that's what the matrix tells it to do, would run. Yeah, come in, you dump it up the leg, over top, overhead belt, dumps in the building, and then the reclaim is in the floor, comes back to the leg, up the leg and into an overhead for the truck to come in and load out.
So no drying facility, that just air in the.
Just air to start with. We'll set it up so that in the future, if we do need drying, we can plop it right in there. Yes.
I've got a question now. John, it's gonna be I'm just asking your opinion, since you live up there. You feel it would be well supported by the farmers? I know, I kinda know the answer before I ask, but I
have a
kinda,
meeting next week and there'll be 50 people here, yes, there's no one against it. I mean, it's.
you feel like the farmers would support it well, okay.
We have, from our company, we're seeing that reception as well. Before even taking this step of considering it, we purchased the ground last fall, last July. And boy, we were this close to doing something last year, but it was just going to be too close to harvest, and we didn't want to put up something that we weren't gonna like, that nobody was gonna like. And we've had a couple area meetings with farmers in the area, just saying, hey, what do you think about this? Feedback has been positive from them as well.
So you're anticipating having it operational by this year?
This coming harvest,
24?
yep, yes, by next fall will be operational.
So, go ahead.
So going from ag to commercial, what does that benefit the county then? I mean,
Well, technically, on the assessor site, it's already taxed as commercial. It's just in our zoning, to have this facility, it needs to be zoned for that, as opposed to ag. Now, in some counties, it doesn't matter. Ours is laid out that way, so. And like with the Cooper one, that one's different. We did industrial because that is a manufacturing process as opposed to just a grain handling situation. So that's why that one is different, being that it's industrial because it's a manufacturing type thing. So if they had done that here, that would be the way we would have to go, is to a manufacturing or to an industrial because of that. But since it's just a grain handling facility in and out, it's just changed over to commercial.
So technically, the anhydrous makes them commercial to begin with, doesn't it? Because they're selling something?
Well, they're not actually selling at the point. That's the tricky part. It's a holding facility.
Okay,
So
but they're actually buying grain
yeah,
here.
so now it's a
this is-
commercial.
This makes it commercial.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts that it might end up being a feed mill? or do you need it to be one?
I can't, today, no. With how we have our mills, how New Co-op has their mills situated, there is no need, there's plenty of milling capacity. 10 years from now, we could have a total different discussion, because mills that are 20 years old now are gonna be 30 years old, and are they going to be needing to be replaced? But for this foreseeable future, I don't, having Cooper, we have Palmer, we have a couple mills down south now with our latest merger. I just don't see the need for that happening at this point.
So the only anti-comment that I have ever had was worried about Cooper, about the milling capacity at Cooper, meaning that there would be, and John will appreciate this comment, that there would be more pigs in the area, especially nurseries. And that seems to have happened already, but, and we hope it doesn't happen. Some of us who happen to live right beside one.
It's kind of
But pigs are pigs, and, you know, and you have quite the area up there, that quite a concentration of pigs as well.
yes, and that industry continues to change, continues to shrink. It's, I don't wanna call it seasonal, but it's kind of, grain is a seasonal one. The livestock industry is seasonal, only the seasonal is 2 to 3 year cycles. So, you know, you're gonna have the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs, where they're profitable, where they're not. There's shakeups in the industries. At this point, we have additional capacity to manufacture out of that Cooper mill. We have capacity at Rowan, we have capacity at, so if there's additional business, the feed needs to be ground, we have capacity at our existing mills. So I don't see this changing into that.
I can't think of anything else right now. Taking up more of the time that.
And like you mentioned, with the road access being on Highway 4, that works through the DOT, that won't go through on the county side for any of that. They have to do their studies with the DOT, and they had to do that down in Cooper also. They sometime, or if they already did, I don't know, they'll put the counter out there to count the amount of traffic on the road, just in general, to know what the daily traffic counts are and things like that is part of that.
That's in process now, we started that.
Is this located just north of Churdan?
East, it's east, about a mile and a half east, almost 2 miles east.
And on the north or the south side of the road?
South of the road.
South side.
Yes.
I had it in my head on the other side, and when you kept saying south, I'm thinking, it's gotta be on the south side if he's saying south. He's further away from the road.
And if you have any questions as things progress, just, you can always give me a call anytime.
The construction question that maybe isn't a big issue, how sturdy are the fabric buildings?
They're a lot different than they were 20 years ago. We put 2 buildings up 20 years ago and had nothing but problems to start with. The frames, they all go through, it's an engineered process, so the trusses are all engineered. The fabric themselves have changed. The fabrics now that we're using are a little thicker, and they have, if you go with the lighter weight one, they've got a 15-year warranty. We're going with the heavier ones that have a 25-year warranty on them. When the derecho came through here, what was it, 4 years ago now? You go over to Perry or Boughton, right when you get east of Perry on the north side of the road, there's a little agronomy facility there. They've got a fabric fertilizer building, and that went through the derecho without any problems. We have a building that is 170 by 350 over at Glencoe at our river port. And 2 years ago, that Christmas, December storm that came through, we had 104 mile-an-hour winds that were hitting that building. And we did not have any issues with it. yeah, there'll be times where we'll have to replace some, they're in 20-foot sheets now, so you can replace a sheet at a time if one happens to go bad. So far, again, we're trying them. 15 years from now, we may be sitting in this room having a different discussion, but they made a lot of changes. The company that we're doing this one with, parts of them, they originated in Canada, so they've got a lot of buildings up in Canada. I think the one they're building now, they've got one that's 300 wide by 1,500 feet long. Is one that they're working on. So just like a regular building, the trusses go through the engineering, they go through the snow loads, they go through the wind, they make their construction based on what the climate is, the snow loads, winds and things like that. So, we hope they stay a long time.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you for letting us explain what we'd like to do there. Hope it's a positive impact on the area.
Any other questions or discussion? Call for a motion to approve this facility. Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I think that was everybody?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
People I've talked to in my area and farmers I know thought it was a great idea, so.
Almost need it, I mean, this land is not doing anything up there anymore.
Just kind of abandoned stuff.
It would be a good addition, so.
Thank you.
And then we'll have it on Mondays.
Next.
We'll get it on Monday's board meeting, so you can either, that starts at, it'll probably, they do their open forum at 8:30, so it'll be,
8:45.
yeah, probably 8:45. I'm not sure if it'll be the first thing on, but
We will be there, and if anybody thinks of any other questions ahead of that, just, gosh, give us a call anytime. It'd be great. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The only other question I have can't remember which three of you are up. I'll have to look, but I'll contact the three that are up if you want to stay on. Obviously, it's, like we say, we meet as needed, so it might not be for another 3 years, 4 years, who knows?
It could be another two.
It could be any year. The only thing I would say is, we may have a meeting sometime after the first of the year, because I did have a gentleman actually call recently. And I talked to Chris about this on another one, and we've done one of these before. I did have another gentleman approach me about selling cars from their acreage. And on that line, the Department of Transportation requires their property to be commercial. So they would have to go through that zoning request. Usually like in town here with New Way or with Finch's, they're in a commercial area of town, so they don't have to worry about that. But when they're out, on an acreage, and he was thinking, it might be 3-4 cars kind of thing. So it isn't, not a very big thing, but that is a requirement of the Department of Transportation to get a dealer's license if you're gonna sell from your home, basically. So there may be another meeting sometime in the spring. He wasn't 100%, he's just wanting to explore what he has to do. So he may get into it and decide, I don't wanna go this way, I don't know, So I just let him know that we would have to go through this process of changing the zoning of his property from ag to do that. And that is just as much the state requirement as anything, so.
It wouldn't hurt to at least convene it once a year, I would think.
Yeah, and we may have, some other things, and we've talked about that. We've been kind of on the other other side, the other one has had meetings more often because of things going on, so we'll see what happens and maybe do something like that. So, okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Adjourn the meeting.
There you go.
Yeah, that one goes there.
So Chris, you know that
You know the deal is, when this one needs to be done, well, there's two sons, that's what I've always joked with. And I said,